So ladies and gentlemen, give a huge round of applause as he comes to the stage, Mr. Matt Browning.
Come on. All right. Good evening, everybody. Really? Okay, I'll give you one more chance. But you may not have realized already. The correct answer, of course, is yes, it is. Good evening, everybody.
Yes, it is.
I know. Do you know why?
Why?
No, not because I'm here. Because today is day 4 of this amazing transformational seminar. Now, give yourselves a big hand for being here. Now, let's get something out of the way really quickly. You probably noticed something very interesting about me. I got a new haircut. Now, I know, it's a little short. It's shorter than I usually have. Just kidding. No, you probably noticed my funny American accent. So it might be hard to understand, but I'm sure you can follow along with me. We're just going to go with this, okay? You can get that right. Now, a lot of things come from America. We have the American accent. We have American dress is different. And no, not every single American wears a patch over their eye. It's not our fashion, so to speak. But it is kind of cool, right? Yeah. How many here were here for the board break on Friday night? Here for the board break? How many people broke a board? Anybody? Yeah. That is cool. Anyone here break their board with me? Do you remember? Come on, there's a few. Good. I got to think about 5 or 6 into it when, as you can see, I have a patch now. So I had a little freak accident. Here's the funny thing. I've been in my room resting and recuperating and hanging out and relaxing for the last 72 hours. I usually come on, I'll speak on Monday and I'll come on the board break and I'm holding somebody's board and I just love that. I love watching people break through. We run board breaking events at our seminars. I love it. It's amazing. You know what that feeling is, don't you? Yeah. That feeling inside when you just how many of you guys knew you were going to do it and you went through and you did it anyway and you just did it? How many people knew you were going to do it and you did it? How many people thought, no way am I doing this, and you went and did it anyway? Good. That feeling of all right, that little bit, that's the feeling I love so much. I got to tell you, I'm addicted to it. So here I am, I'm I'll hold people's boards till the cows come home all night long. I just love doing that. I love being there for people. I love being able to contribute. And I learned a very valuable lesson. When you're contributing for other people, when you're helping somebody, well, it's easy enough, right? You get value out of it because here I am, I'm holding people's boards and maybe you didn't see what happened, but as I'm holding the board, it wasn't me. There's some other board got flown from across the seminar and nailed and hit me and clipped me in the eye. So I'm healing. My eye's happy, healthy, and whole. You know that. It's important. I think mindset saved my life. Mindset probably saved my sight too, I got to tell you. I don't know about you, but you can imagine. Has anyone here ever had a near eye injury, a near eye experience? Anyone? Right? I know one lady feels my pain. Yeah. When you get that feeling, right? When you have that thing happen, it's oh my God. Whether it's a big incident or a small incident, this incident really shifted how I thought. And as I'm in the hospital on Friday night and they're looking at it and trying to figure out what's going on, all I'm thinking of is, please let me see again. And he opened up my eye for the first time, and guess what? Guess what? No, it was completely, no, I was kidding. Yeah, I could see. It was amazing. I could see him blurry, but I could see. Now, what did I focus on that very moment? What do you think? Do you think I focused? No. Do you think I focused on the fact that I had my eye injury? Do you think I focused on the fact that I could see? Which one? Yeah! I focused on the fact that I could see. Are you kidding me? This is amazing. Now, a little blurry? Sure, but I can see. This is so cool. So here I am going through, and it hurt, and I was sitting around the hotel for the last couple of days, and I thought, well, obviously I'm not going to speak on Monday. That's silly. Who's going to speak on Monday when, this freak accident happened? Now, all the people who come to my seminars, they know we have a big thing about taking cause versus effect. Have you guys heard that before? Yeah. Being a cause for your life, not effect? Who's heard that before? Raise your hand and say yes. Yes. Good. Raise your hand and say yes, like you mean it? Yes. Good. So you know cause versus effect. Maybe it's being a hero in your life, not a victim, right? Not these things happen to me. But of course, most people I meet, they take cause for the life, and they'll say things like, look, you're at cause. Nicholas, You believe you're a cause, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah, I can't see from this point forward. So, guys, I'm not excluding you. I just can't see you. I don't have peripheral vision right now. So, Nicholas, you're a cause for everything in your life, right?
Yes.
So, you're a cause for all the good things. You're a cause for all the great shit.
Yep.
You're a cause for all the promotions. You're a cause for all the money. You're a cause for all the great things you've done, right?
Yep.
Except for that bastard over there. I did not cause that. Everyone have said that before? You know what I'm talking about? When you're walking around and you say, everything is great. I am finally at cause. I created all these great things in my life, you know? And it's easy to say that about everything that's great, but then every once in a while something happens and you label it a freak accident. You know those like freak accidents? Come on. Are you kidding me? So here I am. I'm holding a board, ready, and is a young lady here that I didn't have a chance to help her break her board. Is she still here? That's you over there? Hello. So I'm holding her board, and her boyfriend had pushed her up, and he was like, come on, go. You ready to break your board? She's like, no, I'm not. Piss off. And he's like, no, go do it. And, okay, fine. So here she is going, obviously not quite in the moment. Did you break your board? That's right. So she's not quite in the state, so to speak, the mental state to break your board. And in that very moment, so I'm working with her, and I'm like, okay, we're ready to do this, right? You get in a state, and right when she's about to do it, all of a sudden this board hurls through the air, clips me in the eye, blood, I'm like, hold on my eye, I'm like, hold this, give her her board back, and I head off to the hospital. And she's like, and all I can think of when I'm leaving is, that poor girl, I hope she breaks her board. And you did. Give her a big hand for breaking her board, even after that. Now, what happened though? What I said when I went to the hospital is I'm thinking, you know what, this was one of those freak accidents. Because what do my students come up to me and say? I have several students that are here in the audience and friends and colleagues, and they all go, so, when did you decide to get a board in the eye? No, they weren't that mean. Because we cheat, everything is a limiting decision. Everything at some stage we decided our reality, right? I mean, think about it. Where are you right now? The fact that you're here right now in this room, sitting in these chairs, hearing the sound of my voice, going through the rest of the seminar, this means that you have been through decisions in your life. That means you've made decisions, right? And where you are today right now is a sum total of your conscious and your unconscious decisions, is it not? What other choice is there? Do you agree with me, yes or no? Yes. You agree? Yes. It's a sum total of your conscious and your unconscious decisions. What that means is where you are today, you didn't necessarily consciously choose to be here, right? Maybe. You didn't necessarily consciously choose what you're going to do or, maybe that bad thing that happened to you. You didn't consciously choose it. But at a level other than the conscious level, a level that you're not consciously aware of right now, you did in fact choose those things, haven't you? See, that's what happens. So I'm sitting here thinking, no, there's no decisions there. No, in reality, I think this really is one of those freak accidents. This is one of those things that there's no way that what am I going to learn from this? Don't break boards? That's a silly learning. That's a stupid learning. That's not a positive learning. Does that help you, yes or no? No.
Wear safety glasses next time.
Safety glasses is a possibility. Maybe, right? Maybe. But no, you can learn all sorts of things, but what's the point of learning something negative? And I'm thinking, what can I possibly learn from this? And I really, truly thought for a second, I thought there's no way there's anything to learn from this. It's just one of these accidents. It's just something that there's no point. Come on. Have you ever thought that, yeah, maybe you can control a lot of things in your life, but eventually at some stage, shit just happens? Never thought that before? So that's what I thought, until this morning. And I thought, I'm not going to speak. There's no way I'm going to go on stage. If you saw me yesterday, I couldn't even go outside. If I saw lights like this, like the camera lights are filming this, obviously, if I saw the lights here, the eye would change, pain would come, and I couldn't do that. But this morning, I wake up, and for the first time in 72 hours, I open my eye. And I thought, that's interesting. I wonder what that means. And as I started thinking about this, what I realized is, I wonder how I created this. And as soon as I asked myself that, I talk to myself sometimes. I don't know if you do that, but so I said, Matt, how did you create this? So then I said, my head said back to me, what the f-? I said, no, how did I create this? So my head said, I don't know, how'd you create it? My head said, I don't think you did create it. And I said, I know I didn't, but what if I did? How did I create that? And I started going back to a story that I tell at every seminar. Every time we do one of our W Your Dollar seminars, we tell the story. And it's about this boy who, he was about, 5, 6 years old, And as he's going along, his father had always taught him his entire life how important it is to take responsibility for yourself. Take responsibility for everything that you do in life. Imagine that. Now, most parents teach their children that. However, when this boy was 16 years old, he got his license to drive. And he went, "Dad, I'm 16. You know what it's like when you're 16, right? You just got your license. It's time to be free, right? You have that final, just that piece of paper that says, let's go." And he said, "Dad, I got my license. Can I borrow the car?" And Dad said, "Sure, you can borrow the car. But remember, you're the one who's responsible." And he said, yeah, of course I am. Of course I am." He took the keys. He said, "Dad doesn't understand. He's old." So he goes along and he drives along. He goes down this road. And he comes up to an intersection and he has a choice because the light turns yellow. And he's about to stop, but he looks in his rearview mirror and he sees coming up, barreling up behind him is this car speeding along too fast. And he goes, "You know what? This guy's going to hit me if I stop. There's no way I can do this." So as he's going along, he goes, "What am I going to do? Do I stop or do I go?" Well, he decided last second, if I stop, I'm going to get hit. I don't want to do that. So he decided to go through the intersection. The light turned red. He went through. Cop pulls him over, gives him a ticket. Aww. He goes home. His shoulders dropped. "Dad, everything's fine, but I kind of got a ticket. But it wasn't my fault. Don't worry, you don't understand. It wasn't my fault. You know, I mean, the cop gave me a ticket, but I had to go through the intersection. I had no choice. You know, I mean, the guy he was going to hit me, and he was coming right behind me, and it was just so close, it was yellow, and I only had 2 seconds, and I just had to go through. There's no other choice. It wasn't my fault." And Dad looked at him, and his father said, "Nothing is your fault. Everything's your responsibility." And he said, "But I told you it wasn't my fault. What are you talking about? I did the car. He's going to hit me. I mean, you don't know what it's like." He said, "Nothing's your fault. Everything's your responsibility. I'll take your keys, and I'm taking your license for a year." "Oh, that's not fair." He said, "Life's not fair." As parents do. So he sits around, and he tells him what to do, of course, for the next year. 12 months pass by. 12 months pass by, and here's the guy. He's a 17-year-old man. He's getting excited. He says, "Hey, Dad, so it's been a year. Can I borrow the car? Can I get my license back?" And he said, "Well, yeah, son, you've done everything I said, and you've done all the appropriate tasks, and you kept your marks up in school, so yeah, you can borrow the car." And as he handed him the keys, he said, "But remember, you're the one who's responsible." He said, yeah, of course, I understand that. Totally get it." He said, "Great." He took the keys, and he went driving. He's driving along. He went down the same road. Driving the same road, about the same speed, same time of day. Comes up to the same intersection. The light turns yellow. The eye patch rides up on his face. He was getting so close. You know what it's like when you're driving. There's a car that comes up behind him, barreling down the road, fast as fast can be. He goes, "He's going to hit me. What do I do?" I could not make this shit up, I swear. True story. He comes down to the intersection. He goes, "What am I going to do?" So he decides, he slams on the brakes. He stops at the intersection. Boom! Smacks from behind. The guy slams into him. Oof. The car stops moving. Smoke clears. He looks up. He looks in the rearview mirror. He sees the smoke in the back and the accident. And he smiles. He goes home and says, "Dad, guess what? Got in an accident. But don't worry, it wasn't my fault. I came down the intersection, just like you said, you know, I took responsibility and I stopped. See, I wasn't going to get a ticket like happened last time, so I stopped and the guy hit me. He hit me. It wasn't my fault. He threw the board at me. I mean, he hit me with his car. It wasn't my fault." Right? The cop even said so. Right? He's all proud. And his father said, "Give me the keys and give me your license." "What? I told you it's not my fault." And the father looked at him and he said, "Nothing's your fault. Everything's your responsibility." He said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "You chose to take my car. You chose to drive down that road. You chose to drive down that road at that speed, at that time of day, through that intersection. You chose to stop. You chose your accident." He went, "Oh." Of course, he's all bummed out. Well, years passed by, and that had a very big effect on that young man. He was about 23 years old. Fast forward about 5-6 years. I can do my math. 6 years. And as he goes along, all of a sudden he's 23 and he's going to get married. He's engaged to be married, and they live out in California. And has anyone ever been to California before? That's where I'm from. Woohoo! And if you've been to California, you may have driven out to Las Vegas. Has that happened to anybody here? Driven to Las Vegas, right? So to go from Los Angeles or anywhere in Southern California to Las Vegas is about a 4 to 7 hour drive, depending on how you drive. So it is. Sometimes 3.5. I've been with some bizarre friends. So as they're driving along, to go from California, usually you have to go up this freeway called the I-15, the Interstate 15 freeway. And to go up I-15, it's really a decent freeway. There's 2 lanes on each side, so it's a very small freeway for California. We're used to having like 7, 8 lanes on each side. There's 2, right? So we're driving along, and he and his friends are driving up to Vegas along the 15 freeway. Now, at a certain point, they get to this place called the Cajon Pass. And on the Cajon Pass, it's where the ground drops off from the side of the freeway. And it's kind of a ditch on each side, pretty severe ditch. They're going along, and there's 4 people in the car. He's in the passenger seat, 2 groomsmen in the back, and his best man's driving. They're going to his bachelor party. They're going to have a big bachelor party Friday night. The next day, he and his wife his fiance are getting married in Vegas. So, as they're driving along, it's starting to get a little later, and they're getting tired, and the groomsmen fall asleep. Eventually, he falls asleep and takes a little nap, and then the best man falls asleep. Car rolls off the road, flips, horrible accident. He actually flies out the sunroof and lands several, 20, 30 meters from the car. He wakes up. It was daytime when they had left. Now it's nighttime. The stars are out. Nobody's around. No emergency crews had seen him. And he's lying on the desert floor, looking up at the stars. He can't feel his legs. So he said, "Shit, you would too." So he said, "Huh." And later on, after this point, he started speaking for a long time to high schools and teenagers and everywhere around the world. He became a motivational speaker, as a matter of fact. And he did become paralyzed. He was paralyzed and became a paraplegic from his waist down. He couldn't move his legs. He never did for the rest of his life. But he said later in a speech, he said, the thing that changed my life, the thing that allowed me to stay awake that night, the thing that got me through that evening in the desert were my father's words in the back of my head. I was lying there on the floor, and all I heard was my father saying, "You chose to get in the car. You chose to drive down the road. You chose to fall asleep. You chose your accident." And as I was sitting in the emergency room on Friday night, wondering if I was going to be able to see again, the words, my own words, recounting this story at every seminar I've ever given, that's all I could think of over and over and over again was, "You chose this, you chose this, you chose this." So if I chose it, why? What are we meant to learn from it? What are we meant to do? See, the only thing I could do is at that point I said, you know what, I need to come up here and I need to maybe share, right? Maybe I need to come up here and I need to do something different than I usually would. And maybe I need to use some of my own shit on me. Because it's easy as a teacher and as a speaker, we come out and it's very easy for us to talk about other people's lives, right? And you've probably seen many people do that, and they say, let me help you, let me share with you, let me contribute to you, let me tell you all about this thing that will help that you haven't realized yet. And we're not better or worse than anybody. Are you kidding me? We're the furthest thing from it. We're the most real people in the world. What I can tell you is that maybe I've been somewhere that you haven't yet, or maybe I've learned something that you haven't yet, and I can teach it to you. That's all I have. Who am I? I'm nobody. But I can teach you what I've learned or what I've done that maybe you haven't yet. Does that make sense? That's all it is. So the thing is remember that everyone up here is a very real person. And I thought maybe I need to start applying this to myself. And what I usually teach is there's really 3 simple keys, 3 important aspects of our lives that when you get these 3 aspects under control, you will excel at anything you want. When you get these 3 aspects under control, you'll succeed in trading if you want to trade. You'll succeed in properties if that's what you're doing. You'll succeed in your business or internet marketing. You'll succeed in your relationships if that's what's trying you right now. You'll succeed in your health and getting to the gym and working out or being healthy. Whatever you need to do in life, there's really only 3 things that ever prevent people from that. And for the first time in about the last year, I looked back at myself really, really closely and said, so, I wonder what I'm experiencing right now. You guys ever had like an eye-opening experience? Pardon the pun. But that wasn't purposeful. But have you ever had like one of those experiences where you say, you know what, it's time to reevaluate? Who's had a reevaluation of sorts? Right? Maybe some of you have had that this weekend. Is that true? Right? Wait a second, what's going on here? So would you like to know the 3 things that will really, when you get these under control, these 3 things simply by themselves will literally, and I'm not saying this in hyperbole, I mean this 100% clear. When you accelerate in these and you transform these 3 things in your life, you will very easily do whatever you want to do. I have a best-selling book called Total Freedom from Addictions. That was my first book, and it's all about addictions. Now, some people go, why would I want your book? I don't smoke crack. I don't do coke. I don't do heroin. What's the point? Well, I define addiction very differently. The way I define addiction is I believe that anything that you constantly do that you'd rather not is an addiction. Make sense? So what's something you constantly do that you'd rather not do anymore? Work. Right? Maybe you're addicted. Or something that you're constantly not doing, but you'd rather do. Like not working out. Like not getting off your butt and doing your taxes. Like not going out and making the money, you know? Like not going out and finding a relationship because you're too freaking scared or whatever it is. You know? We all have those things, right? So in my opinion, what it comes down to is if you want to free yourself from any of these addictions, who here, raise your hand if you have something in your life that you're doing that maybe you waste time doing or something and you'd rather not do it anymore. You want to get rid of this thing. Stop doing something. Who has something like that? Good. Easy. Takes about 5 minutes to do. Who has something that they aren't doing but they sure would like to start doing this thing? Anyone have something they're not doing yet but they'd like to start? Good. That's the other half of you. Excellent. So if you raised your hand, you need to listen to the next section. Okay? There are 3 simple things. Now, I remember a while back, I was sitting in a seminar in Vancouver. This is in 2002 with Tony Robbins. Who's heard of Tony Robbins before? Anyone? If you haven't, Tony Robbins is the guy, he's got the big teeth and the big, massive head and the big hands. He was in Shallow Hal, the movie with Jack Black, and he was one of my mentors as well as Jamie's. He's a dear friend. Tony Robbins is someone he knows his stuff, right? He's the kind of guy that, well, if he's going to talk, I'm going to listen. Make sense? So, you know, he has lots of companies, and he's ran seminars for 30 years, and he's helped people, 3-4 million people all over the world. Again, if he's going to talk, I'm going to listen. So here he is at this seminar, and, you know, there was probably, I don't know, maybe like maybe this one half of this one section, there's probably 20 people or so, just a little small amount, and we're sitting there, and at some stage, he gets up and he finishes talking, and he comes down, and he goes and he sits all the way kind of in the back of the chair. Hi, I'm going to sit in your stuff. Is that all right? Thanks. So he sits right back here, and I can't see you out of the side, remember. So he sits back, and he invites up this gal, Chloe Madonis, to go speak, and she's a family therapist. She's very well-renowned, and she has a lot of prestige, right? So he wants to invite